Hey there, and welcome to Authentically ADHD. I'm your host, Carmen, and I am so glad that you're here. This is a podcast where we get real about ADHD. No filters, no judgment, a safe space to explore and learn and grow. If you're here, it's because you want to take a deep dive into the world of ADHD, and trust me, we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I start this podcast? Well, in true ADHD fashion, it all started very impulsively. One day, I thought, I should start a podcast, especially with all this paperwork that I have and all these notes that I have trying to understand my own ADHD. And the next thing I knew, here I am, sharing thoughts with you. I don't know, 200, 100 episodes later? I don't know. I lose track of time. I'm time blind. Are you? Anyways, when you have ADHD, ideas come fast, and sometimes you just gotta roll with them. Honestly, this podcast was born out of my passion for understanding ADHD in a deeper way with the newest research. You see, pills don't teach skills. That's something I've learned over the years. Medication can help and is a great tool to use, but true growth, that comes from knowledge, understanding, and actionable skills. And so that's what I want to share with you. Research-backed insights, practical tips, and lived experiences of someone who's been there. Now, a little bit about me. I'm not just a host of this podcast. I'm also an early childhood special education teacher, which means I've spent years understanding how children learn, grow, and thrive in ways that work for them, especially when they're neurodiverse. And I'm also a certified life and performance coach, guiding people to unlock their full potential in both their personal and professional lives. But here's the thing that makes me a little different. I'm also a late diagnosed ADHDer. And on top of that, I self-identify as being on the autism spectrum. So when I talk about ADHD, it's not just from a professional perspective, it's from lived experience, because I get it. I know what it's like to feel like your brain is running at full speed while everyone else is moving at a different pace, and you have instructions that are in Japanese and upside down, and everybody else got them in their own language. Throughout this podcast, I'll share all kinds of insights about navigating life with ADHD, from the everyday struggles to the strengths that we can celebrate. We'll talk about everything from time management to relationships to self-advocacy, and all about how to live authentically in a world that often asks us to be anything but. Whether you have ADHD yourself or you want to understand it better, you are in the right place. So, let's get started. Hi, my friend, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD. I'm your host, Carmen, and today we're diving into a topic that's super, super important, and it hits close to home for so many of us in the ADHD community. The external locus of evaluation and our complicated relationship with self-confidence and self-trust. You know that feeling of looking to others for reassurance, like a kid holding up a macaroni craft for a proud smile from a caregiver? Yeah, we're going to talk about why that tendency to seek validation from others is so common in adults with ADHD, and how it stems from a lifetime of internalized criticism. But don't you worry, we're not going to stop there. We're going to explore how to reclaim your own inner compass with 7 actionable strategies. So, are you ready? Let's get started. First, let's start off by understanding what the external locus of evaluation is. So let's break it down. What is the external locus evaluation? of evaluation. So in psychology, this term refers to the tendency to judge your worth, decisions, and achievements based on the opinions and reactions of others. For ADHDers, it often stems from a childhood that was shaped by constant correction, criticism, and those well-meaning but soul-crushing phrases like, "Why can't you just pay attention?" Or, "If only you applied yourself more, you could reach your full potential." Research shows that children with ADHD hear significantly more negative feedback than our neurotypical peers. And that's not just from adults and caregivers, it's also from our peers. This imbalance shapes how we view ourselves. Think about that. The imbalance of that in our childhood shapes how we actually view ourselves, teaching us that our value is dictated by external approval. I'm going to say that again because that kind of like hurt me. That hurt my heart. This imbalance shapes how we view ourselves, teaching us that our value is dictated by external approval, other people. Over time, this creates a fragile self-concept that hinges on the judgment of others. So let me paint a picture for you. Imagine little Sarah, a daydreamer in class, lost in a world of imagination, while the teacher talks about long division. Wow, this is relatable. Sarah is mentally designing a new theme park, in her head. But when the teacher calls on her, she has no idea what the question was. To insert a little personal story here, when the teacher would call on me, it's not only that I had no idea what the question was. Sometimes my teacher, especially in third grade, I remember that she had a bang on the table or on her desk to snap me out of this daydream, because they were so intense, I felt like I was in them. So anyways, she's designing a new theme park, so she has no idea what the question even was. And then the class laughs at her. The teacher sighs, and now Sarah's confidence shrinks to a little tiny girl. And it shrinks each time that happens. Fast forward to adulthood, and now Sarah hesitates to speak up in meetings, and she constantly second-guesses any of her ideas or contributions. Then there's Alex. Alex is a kid who could never sit still, always tapping a pencil or jumping out of their seat. The words disruptive and troublemaker followed Alex around like a shadow. Now, as an adult, they apologize excessively, they over-explain minor mistakes, and they're terrified of being labeled as difficult again. And now, we cannot forget about Mia, because unlike Alex, who is pretty much like the, basic thing that we think about when we think about ADHD, the hyperactive little boy, and we forget about the Mias, the straight-A students who overcompensate for our ADHD with perfectionism. Each gold star and glowing remark becomes fuel for her self-worth. But when adult life offered fewer gold stars, Mia spiraled, struggling to feel worthy without any external validation. And actually, without that external validation, because in adulthood, instead of validation, usually you just get critiqued. These experiences are painful, and they're painfully common for ADHDers. When the world constantly tells you that you're not enough or that you're too much, it's easy to let those voices define you. But here's the good news. When you recognize this pattern, it's the first step toward breaking free from it. I want to talk a little bit about the complementary moral defense. It's a concept that may sound familiar or not. The psychological mechanism of the complementary moral defense often develops as a coping strategy in response to that relentless criticism. When our ADHD symptoms were misunderstood as laziness or carelessness, we may have internalized the belief that we were fundamentally flawed. Helen and Katie, the hosts of the Insight podcast, and they have a book, which of course my ADHD brain cannot remember. I can't remember the title of it right now, but Helen and Katie, the hosts of the Insight podcast, they describe the complementary moral defense. I mean, if you just type in complementary moral defense, Helen and Katie, the book will pop up, the podcast will pop up, whatever. So they describe this as a form of self-protection. When the world repeatedly labels you as bad or broken, the brain tries to make sense of it. Instead of challenging the labels, we accept them. believing that if we just try harder or act quote-unquote better, we can avoid further judgment. This belief can lead to a cycle of people-pleasing, overworking, and constant self-criticism. It's like wearing a pair of guilt-tinted glasses that distort every misstep into a moral failing. Didn't finish a task? That's not just a mistake. It's proof that you're unreliable. Forget to respond to a text? Suddenly you're a terrible friend. Sound familiar? But here's the truth. ADHD is not a moral failing. It's a neurodevelopmental condition. Helen and Katie emphasize that recognizing this internalized shame is the first step towards self-compassion. Understanding that our struggles are not evidence of our character, but rather our neurodivergent wiring. It can be incredibly freeing. Now, it's time to shake off that moral defense and rediscover what it means to trust yourself. Okay? We're going to change. We're going to shift the narrative of I am broken to I am learning. All right? We're going to talk about how to reclaim your locus of evaluation. And we're going to talk about practical, actionable steps that you can take today. But first, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Hey there. If you're looking for a game changer in managing your ADHD, let me tell you about something that's made a huge impact on my life. Focused, the adult ADHD group coaching program by Kristen Carter. This isn't just another program. It's a community. It's a roadmap. It's a lifeline for adults with ADHD who want to thrive. Inside of Focus, you'll find weekly coaching calls with Kristen packed with actionable insights, a supportive community of adults who get it. They get what it's like to live with ADHD. You'll get tools and strategies that actually work for our brains. No fluff, just real results. I've been a part of Focus for over a year, and let me tell you, it's where I've learned so much of what I share with you on Authentically ADHD. It's been a game changer for me, and I think it could be for you too. And here's the best part. If you use my link to join, we both save money. It's a win-win. So if you've been looking for the right ADHD support, this is your sign to check it out. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more and sign up. Let's thrive together with tools and support that we need to succeed. Are you also loving what we're doing on Authentically ADHD but want to take your experience to the next level? Well, I have got something for you. Introducing the Authentically ADHD Patreon, your VIP pass to the ultimate ADHD support hub. As a Patreon member, you'll unlock exclusive perks like early access to every single episode, hear it before anyone else does, a treasure trove of resources that I've made, tools, guides, and worksheets to help you thrive in everyday aspects of life, direct coaching opportunities with me designed to help you harness your ADHD powers, and the cherry on top, an incredible community of like-minded individuals who just get it. You're not alone on this journey, and together we can be unstoppable. By joining Patreon, you're not just supporting the podcast, you're fueling a movement. Together, we're breaking stigmas, embracing authenticity, and creating a world where ADHD is seen as a strength and not just a struggle. So what are you waiting for? Head over to patreon.com/authenticallyADHD and join the family today. Let's keep growing, thriving, and showing up authentically together. Hope to see you over there. Back to the show. All right, so why is it especially important for people with ADHD to build an internal locus of evaluation? Well, when we rely on external validation, we give away our power. ADHDers often grow up in environments where their strengths were overlooked and their challenges were magnified. Dr. Russell Barkley, one of the leading researchers in ADHD, explains that this pattern of negative feedback can create an emotional environment where ADHDers start to believe they are flawed, lazy, and even incapable. The result, an internal belief system built on the judgment of others, rather than on self-acceptance or an internal sense of self-worth. Many ADHDers never had the opportunity to develop an internal, locus of evaluation or validation because their efforts were often dismissed or misunderstood. Without validation from our environment or primary caregivers, we didn't learn how to measure our self-worth internally. This lack of internal validation is a significant contribution to the cycle of self-doubt and over-reliance on external feedback. For example, take Thomas. As a child, Thomas was praised only when he excelled or completed a task perfectly. Anything less was met with frustration or disappointment. As an adult, he found himself in relationships where he constantly sought approval, always wondering if he was doing something that he needed to define, He always wondered whether he was doing enough, despite being a highly successful person. And it really wasn't until Thomas realized that he needed to define success for himself, and that he started to break free from that need for constant external validation. Dr. Barkley highlights that this emotional toll, compounded by the ADHD's craving for dopamine, the neurotransmitter that's linked to pleasure and reward. When we seek praise, it's not just about feeling good. It's also about meeting that internal dopamine reward loop. The problem is, relying on others to fulfill that need can be addictive, leading to burnout, stress, and anxiety when the external praise is absent. But the key to self-trust in learning how to evaluate ourselves internally. The key to self-trust lies in learning to evaluate ourselves internally. No, I'm not having a stroke. I did repeat it. Because when we rely on our internal compass, we define success on our own terms, acknowledging our own progress and growth, even if others are unaware or unavailable to praise us. We're going to learn that we don't need that external praise. We can celebrate ourselves all by ourselves. And when you find the right people, by the way, they will praise you even for the small stuff. So when can we do this? When can we, try to develop this self-trust? We free ourselves from the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing and self-doubt. We get to write out our own stories, just like the ones that are based on our values, our progress, and our unique journey. So, we are going to go through 7 actionable tips that you can use to reclaim your internal locus of evaluation starting today. 1. Identify your values. Start by reflecting on what truly matters to you. Your values are the foundation of your internal evaluation system. Are you passionate about creativity, community, learning, curiosity, giving, helping? Knowing your values makes it easier to measure your progress based on what feels meaningful to you. Number 2, and I use this one a lot for a lot of different things, but honestly, from experience, from me and clients I've had, it works. Number 2 is track your wins, even the smallest ones. Our brains often ignore successes. Like when I'm done recording this podcast, I'll move on to the next thing and ignore the success of recording an entire episode. Especially when we're wired for criticism, this happens. So, keeping a daily or weekly record of your small victories is key. Finished a task, made it to an appointment on time, finished recording a podcast, like those are all wins. No matter how big, no matter how small, celebrate it. Number 3, practice self-validation. This one sounds easier than it is, but the next time you accomplish something, pause and validate yourself. Say it out loud. I'm actually really proud of how I handled that, or I did that really well. Or you can practice self-validation by validating your own experience, that your experience is real, and validating your feelings, that it's okay to feel the way you feel about something because they're your emotions. These simple acts just help to rewire your brain to seek internal acknowledgement instead of external praise. Number 4, challenge negative self-talk. Another one I talk about a lot because ADHD brains can be creative, but sometimes that creativity often turns into catastrophizing and rumination. Practice pausing and questioning those harsh inner narratives. Ask yourself, is this thought a fact? Is it helpful? Or is this my inner critic talking? I have a tip for you, and this is to write down all the things that your inner critic says to you, all the mean things they say, and read them, and then say, this is not me. This is not me saying this, okay? It's not you. Crumple it up and throw it away. Burn it. Do something with it safely, please, to get rid of it. Because these thoughts are not yours. It's an inner critic who, for lack of a better term, is a bitch, and she is going to come for you, you know? I mean, and if you're a man, you know, that guy's an asshole, and he's really coming for you. He wants to make you feel bad. So that's what we do with the inner critic. We reframe and we practice pausing and questioning that little bitch or that asshole. All right? Number 5, set self-defined goals. Instead of measuring your successes against societal expectations, because we are not neurotypical and that is ableism, define what success looks like for you. Maybe it's finishing 50% of your to-do list today. That's still progress, especially if you have ADHD and you write down to-do lists that have way more things on them than they should. And maybe even just celebrating 30% of doing your to-do list would be great. Number 6, build self-compassion. ADHD comes with detours, mistakes, and quite a bit of chaos. Learning to offer yourself the same compassion you'd extend to a friend helps loosen the grip of that external evaluation. And number 7, last but certainly not least, I say that to my preschoolers, last but not least. I don't think they know what that means when I say that to them. Anyways, that was an ADHD tangent. Number 7 is to find supportive spaces. This was one of the last things I did in building my self-trust. And ironically, my coach hadn't come out with a self-trust course at the time that I joined that supportive space. And I do want to acknowledge that I am very privileged to be able to afford to pay for the supportive space of Focused. By the way, there was an ad earlier if you want to join. Link is in the show notes. But this is something that I didn't really know that I needed. It was the self-trust work also. That was something else I didn't know I needed later. But that community, that supportive space, while we're focusing on internal validation, that doesn't mean that we have to do it alone. If you surround yourself with people who understand ADHD and they just get it, they offer encouragement without judgment. They really do. And if you can't afford to join a group like Focus or something like that, then find free ADHD groups. I have one. It's called Thriving Not Surviving. I'm not sure. It's on Facebook. I'm not a big Facebook person, but I try. I really do try, especially as that community grows. I also have a Patreon community, and I'm trying to build up a community on Substack, and Substack right now is completely free. All of my stuff is free. I have not put on any subscriptions yet. So the only thing that I lead that you may need to pay for is Patreon, but I have a really, really cheap option and then a really like a high tier option, but you get a lot with that high tier option. But just being a part of the community, you can do that for free. So as we close out here, shifting from an external locus of evaluation to an internal one is a journey. It's not a flip of a switch. It takes time. But each small step builds a stronger sense of self-trust. And remember, your ADHD brain is not broken. It's wired differently. It's wired for creativity, resilience, and joy. So next time that inner critic gets loud, write it down and ask yourself, what would it look like to trust my own judgment here and not the judgment of this critic? Thank you for pressing play on this episode of Authentically ADHD. If today's episode resonated with you, or you think it'll resonate with someone else, share it with them. Share it with someone who might need it, and if you're feeling generous, leave a rating and review. It really helps our little ADHD community grow, and it helps me improve to make your experience even more enjoyable, especially when you guys participate in the polls or just comment things that you want me to talk about, all right? We're a lot of episodes in. I'm way past and through that paperwork of piles that I made when I first made this podcast, right? This is all new research. So leave it in the comments. What do you want to talk about? What do you want me to talk about? What questions do you have? And you can also, request to come on the podcast and be interviewed. I would absolutely love that. So until next time, stay authentic, stay curious, and we will talk soon.